For 5 years, she trained to kill the man who murdered her father. She built her body for him. She learned to break a man's neck for him. She erased her name, her face, every person who'd ever loved her, and she gave it all up for one promise: find the cop who shot her father. Kill him slowly. She trusted the wrong man. The man who'd been training her to take revenge was the man she needed revenge on. The hands that taught her how to kill were the same hands that pulled the trigger on her father. And by the time she figured it out, she'd already become exactly the kind of monster he'd designed her to be. This is the drama My Name, and it's not really a revenge story. It's a story about what happens when somebody steals your grief, sharpens it into a weapon, and points it at the wrong target for 5 years straight. Her name was Yoon Ji-woo. Then it wasn't. And what they did to her in between is going to make you sit with this drama long after the last episode ends. Yoon Ji-woo is 17, and the whole world already knows her father is a wanted man. Yoon Dong-hoon hasn't been home in 3 months. He's hiding from the police. His daughter lives alone in a small apartment, watched by undercover cops parked across the street, avoided by every classmate she's ever known. Her father works for Dong Cheon, the biggest drug operation in the city, and that one fact has eaten through every part of her life that used to be normal. Her teacher pulls her aside one morning and tells her she should consider dropping out, for her own good, so the other parents stop complaining, so the other students can focus. Ji-woo doesn't answer. She just walks back to her desk and stares at the wall. A girl in her class doesn't let it go. She drops a bag of flour on Ji-woo's desk, a joke about her father being a drug dealer, and the whole room laughs. Ji-woo grabs the bag. She throws it in the girl's face. What happens next is the first scene that tells you this isn't going to be a story about a quiet girl. 4 classmates jump her. She fights all 4 of them at once. She gets shoved against a wall. She doesn't stay there. She takes down 3 of them with her bare hands, and when the 4th pulls out a pencil and tries to stab her with it, she disarms her in under a second. The classroom goes silent. Even the bullies look scared. She walks to the teacher's desk, hands in her name tag, and quits before the school can expel her. On her way home, a cop car follows her too close. She turns around, walks right up to it, and smashes the side mirror with her fist. The officer inside just watches. They give chase a few minutes later, but she loses them in the alleys around her building. Today is her birthday. When she gets home, there's a cake outside her door. Flowers. A small wrapped gift. Her father has been ignoring her phone calls for 3 months, and now he's left her a birthday cake on her doorstep like that's supposed to fix anything. She kicks the cake aside. She walks into her apartment, picks up her phone, and calls him. And when he finally answers, she tells him every ugly thing she's been holding in for 3 months. That he ruined her life. That she has nobody. That he's the reason she has to look at the floor every time she walks past a classroom. She tells him he's dead to her. She means it as a metaphor. She doesn't know yet that within hours it's going to stop being one. That night, somebody knocks on her door. She doesn't answer. She's still angry. She presses her eye to the peephole and sees her father standing in the hallway, looking small and tired and ready to apologize. Then she sees the other man come around the corner behind him. Her father feels something is wrong. He grips the door handle on the outside to hold it shut, to keep her from opening it, to keep her from being seen. She tries to pull it open from her side and can't. He's holding it closed with everything he has left, and she doesn't understand why. She hears the shot through the door. By the time she finally gets it open, the man is gone and her father is on the floor and the hallway is silent. She tries to wake him up. She says his name. She apologizes for what she said earlier on the phone. None of it does anything. He's already gone. And the last thing she ever told him was that he was dead to her. The funeral is small. The only person who shows up to pay real respect isn't family. He's the country's most powerful drug lord. His name is Choi Moo-jin, and he was Dong-hoon's boss. He kneels at the casket and tells Ja-woo her father was the best man he ever knew. Ji-woo goes to the police the next morning. They tell her there's no evidence. The case is going to die in a filing cabinet, and her father is going to be remembered by the country as another dead gangster nobody bothered to investigate. So she goes back to Moo-jin, the only person who came to the funeral. The only person who said her father deserved better. She tells him she wants to kill the man who did this. Moo-jin hands her a knife. He tells her to use it on him. Ji-woo hesitates. He slaps her. He tells her you don't get revenge by wanting it. You get it by being able to do it. If she can't pick up a knife and stab a man she has no quarrel with, she has no business trying to kill the man who shot her father. He turns her away. That night, somebody knocks on her door again. She doesn't open this time. She watches the man leave through the peephole, then follows him into the street. He drives off before she can catch up. A few days later, two men who recognize her from the news rob her, beat her, and start dragging her into a van. Moo-jin shows up out of nowhere and stops them. He looks at her on the ground, beaten and bleeding, and he decides she's ready. Not because she's strong, because she's stupid enough to keep trying. He takes her to a boxing gym. Except it isn't a boxing gym. It's where Dong-cheon trains its assassins, and Ji-woo is the only girl in the building. The men make her clean. They make her cook. They try to push her into being a maid, and a few of them try worse than that. She refuses every time. She gets up. She keeps showing up. She trains alongside them whether they let her or not. Moo-jin starts teaching her himself. He shows her how to find a man's vital points and end a fight in 3 moves: eyes, throat, groin. He teaches her that the strongest fighter in the room is the one who doesn't telegraph anything, and the smartest fighter is the one who hits first. And then the gym holds a tournament. 20 fighters, 1 winner, all men except Ji-woo. She wins her first round, then the second. She keeps moving up the bracket while bigger, heavier men try to knock her down and end up on the floor. By the final round, she's facing the gym's top fighter. His name is Do Gang-jae. He's twice her size, and he's the one man in the gym who's been openly hostile to her from the day she walked in. Gang-jae doesn't fight her. He brutalizes her. He chokes her with a chain. He throws her into the fence. He's not trying to win. He's trying to humiliate her in front of every man who watched her refuse to break for 2 years. And then she finds her opening. 1 elbow, straight to his face. He drops unconscious before he hits the floor. Moo-jin walks into the ring and declares Ji-woo the winner. The men who'd spent 2 years calling her a maid have to stand there and clap for her. Gang-jae wakes up a few minutes later, and the only thing on his face is the kind of rage you don't recover from. He comes for her that night. He drugs her bathwater. He waits until she's barely conscious. He brings a friend, and they walk into her room together with the kind of intentions that don't have any other word for them. Ji-woo can barely move. She tries to fight back, and her body won't respond the way it usually does. They have her pinned, and they're laughing about it. And for the first time since her father's death, she's about to lose something she can't take back. Then her father's urn falls off the shelf and breaks. Ji-woo grabs a piece of the glass. She drives it into Gang-jae's friend's body. She stumbles to her feet, half naked and bleeding, and she runs. Gang-jae chases her with a hammer. He catches her in the corridor. He breaks her arm with 1 swing. Before he can do anything else, the gym's men hear the screaming and pull him off her. They throw him to the floor and call Moo-jin. Moo-jin walks in slowly. He looks at Ji-woo. He looks at Gang-jae. Then he takes a blade and carves a permanent scar straight down Gang-jae's face. He doesn't kill him, he marks him. He makes sure every person who ever looks at Gang-jae for the rest of his life sees what happens to men who touch what Moo-jin claims. Gang-jae is thrown out of Dongcheon. He disappears. And Moo-jin sits down across from Ji-woo and tells her the part she's been waiting for. Her father's killer left a gun at the scene. Dongcheon recovered it. The serial number traces back to a police issue weapon, which means the man who shot her father wasn't a rival gangster, wasn't a stranger, wasn't anyone she could have ever imagined. He was a cop, and the only way to find one specific cop inside a police department of thousands is to put somebody inside that department. Moo-jin tells her, as of tonight, Yoon Ji-woo is dead. The world will receive paperwork confirming it. Her file will be closed. Her name will be erased. She'll continue to exist, but as somebody else. Her new name is Oh Hye-jin. She'll be entering the police academy under that name with credentials that Moo-jin's lawyers have already prepared. There's one rule. If she ever betrays Dongcheon, they kill her. No second chances, no hesitation. And the next 5 years of her life are going to be a slow, perfect lie. 5 years later, Oh Hye-jin is a corporal in the Incheon Narcotics Bureau. She's done what nobody thought she could. She passed the academy. She graduated. She's been quietly waiting for an opening in narcotics to come up, and she's filed 2 transfer applications that have already been rejected by the time the third one lands on the captain's desk. Her first big mission is an arrest on a drug dealer named Park Chang-gu. She has a window of about 90 seconds before another team, Narcotics, moves in for their own sting. She doesn't wait. She crashes through a glass window 2 floors up and goes in alone. The room erupts. She takes down 3 men in less time than most cops would need to draw their weapon. She has Chang-gu in cuffs when another officer storms in, furious. His name is Sergeant Jeon Pil-do. He's the undercover cop running the narcotics sting she just interrupted. They argue. She refuses to hand over Chang-gu. She finally gives in when she gets confirmation about Pil-do's mission, and she walks out without apologizing. Pil-do tells her on her way past that he hopes he never sees her again. 3 days later, Captain Cha Gi-ho, the head of narcotics, calls her into his office. He has her file open in front of him. He sees the rejections. He sees the persistence. He doesn't know that the woman sitting across from him is doing all of this because the gun used to kill her father was a police weapon, and he doesn't know that she suspects everyone in the building, including him. He recognizes something else. He sees a cop with a personal reason for being there, and he tells her that kind of motivation tends to make better officers than the comfortable ones. He approves her transfer on the spot. Then he tells her she'll be partnered with Sergeant Jeon Pil-do. She walks out of the office. Pil-do is waiting in the hallway. He looks at her the way a person looks at a problem that just got assigned to him for life. Their first joint mission is on a dealer called Mango, who runs his operation out of a club. Pil-do tells Hye-jin to make the arrest. He stays outside with the rest of the team. The plan is simple. Walk in, cuff him, walk out. Pil-do waits outside for 3 minutes, then 4, then 5. He walks in expecting to find his partner unconscious on the floor. What he finds is 6 grown men unconscious on the floor and Hye-jin standing in the middle of them, fixing her hair. She hasn't broken a sweat. He's been told she's a rookie. He's just learned that everything in her file is a lie, and he doesn't have the framework yet to understand why. Mango won't talk. Whoever supplies him is more frightening than the cops. They search the club, and Hye-jin finds a bottle of a new drug Narcotics has never seen on the street before. The scene shifts to a pub somewhere else in the city. The supplier of the new drug is sitting at the bar. It's Do-gang Jai, the same man Moo-jin marked 5 years ago. He's been out of Dongcheon since that night, and he's been quietly building his own operation in the background. Now he's back, and he's selling something stronger than anything Moo-jin has ever produced. Meanwhile, Hye-jin pulls her father's case file from the department database for the first time. She's been waiting 5 years to read it. She opens it with her hands shaking. She reads the entire thing. She finds the part that should explain everything, and instead it explains nothing. On the night of her father's murder, Captain Cha Gi-ho was running a completely separate operation across the city, surrounded by other officers with a confirmed alibi. Cha Gi-ho didn't do it. She closes the file. The captain she's been suspecting for years isn't her father's killer, which means the killer is still somewhere in this department, and she has no idea who he is, and she just signed up to spend the next phase of her life looking at every cop in this building like they might be the one. Narcotics gets intel on a Dongcheon drug production facility. The team will raid it at dawn. Phones are confiscated before the briefing. Hye-jin sits at the back of the room and realizes she has no way to warn Moo-jin. She walks into the raid knowing every camera Pil-do is carrying will record what she does next. They breach the building. They move room by room toward the manufacturing floor. Pil-do leads the team downstairs to make the arrest. Hye-jin lags behind for 1 second, raises her own service weapon, and fires it into the wall. The shot creates exactly the chaos she needed. A chemical fire breaks out. Moo-jin uses the distraction to escape with his right-hand man, Jung Tae-ju. They jump into the water from the loading dock and disappear. Hye-jin leaves her pistol behind on purpose. She knows the forensics team will recover it. She knows the markings on the bullet won't match anyone on the operation, and she's banking on the chaos to obscure the timeline long enough for the investigation to point in the wrong direction. It works. The investigation hits dead ends. Cha-gi-ho checks every weapon belonging to every officer present. None of them fired the shot. He knows there's a leak. He just can't prove it yet. On Moo-jin's side, he orders Taiju to find the leak in their own operation. Hye-jin calls Moo-jin directly afterwards and confesses what she did. She also tells him about the hidden cameras the police have planted inside his hotel. Moo-jin's men sweep the hotel. They find the cameras. They destroy everyone. The leak in his own house gets plugged in a single night, and the police investigation collapses with it. Gang-jae picks this moment to return to the gym where he was once humiliated. He brings men. He brings everything he's been building outside of Dongcheon, and he walks into the place where Moo-jin marked him, and he turns it into a slaughterhouse. He targets Taiju specifically. He breaks his arm with the same kind of swing that broke Hye-jin's arm 5 years ago. 4 men die, 4 of Moo-jin's own. The police get called to the scene. Hye-jin arrives with Pil-do, and the site of the gym she trained in for 2 years, covered in the blood of the men she once trained beside, makes her sick in a way she can't let anybody see. She asks Pil-do if Moo-jin was among the dead. He tells her no, Moo-jin wasn't there. She doesn't realize she just gave herself away. Moo-jin reviews the gym's CCTV. He sees Gang-jae's face on the footage. The war between them just escalated from cold to nuclear. A few cities away, Gang-jae has been watching footage of his own. He's been pulling CCTV from Mango's club, going through it frame by frame, looking for leverage. And he sees a face he wasn't expecting to see. Oh, Hye-jin, walking through a hallway in a narcotics uniform. He pauses the footage. He zooms in. He stares at her for a long time before he understands what he's looking at. The girl he tried to rape 5 years ago is now a cop. Of every person who's ever wronged Gang-jae, Hye-jin is the only one whose secret he holds in his hands like a loaded gun. And he knows exactly what it's worth. He doesn't tell Moo-jin. He doesn't tell anyone. He starts planning, quietly, the way a man plans when he's been carrying a grudge for half a decade and he's finally about to get paid for it. Cha-gi-ho is also closing in. He's identified that the leak in his operation has been feeding information to Moo-jin since the day Hye-jin arrived. He arranges a sting to expose the spy. He tells his trusted officers he's going to meet an informant from inside Dongcheon. He waits to see who shows up. Hye-jin shows up. Pil-do is the one waiting for her. She tries to talk her way out. He doesn't buy it. They fight in the alley. She outclasses him without even using everything she has, and she escapes before he can call backup. On her way out, she spots Taiju in a car around the corner. Moo-jin had sent him to watch over her without her knowing. Cha-gi-ho now knows the leak is somebody close to him. Pil-do reports back. The captain tells him to keep watching Hye-jin. Every move, every minute. Pil-do obeys, but something in him has already started to question whether he's chasing a traitor or a victim. Then, Gang-jae makes his move. He catches her alone in a parking garage. She doesn't even hear him coming. The first thing she feels is the blade going into her thigh. Slow and deliberate, designed to wound but not kill. He twists it before he pulls it out. He wants her to remember. He uses her as bait. He sends a message to Moo-jin. Come retrieve her if you want to see her alive. He sends a parallel message through Mango's network to lead Pil-do straight to him. 2 threads, 2 enemies, 1 night. Both threads collide at the old car factory on the edge of the city. The factory hasn't been used in years. Hye-jin and Pil-do walk into Gang-jae's trap. His men outnumber them. They fight hard, they lose, they wake up cuffed inside a van that's been positioned under an industrial car crusher, and the machine is already humming. The machine starts to come down. The van starts to compress. Pil-do is talking fast, trying to find a way out. Hye-jin is calm in the way people become calm when they've already accepted that this is how they're going to die. And then Moo-jin's car rams the crusher at full speed. The machine stalls. The van stops moving. Hye-jin manages to slip her cuffs and crawl out. Pil-do is still trapped. The police are seconds away. Moo-jin has to flee before they arrive, and he leaves Pil-do behind because Pil-do isn't the partner he came to save. Hye-jin stays. She works on Pil-do's cuffs. The machine starts up again. Somebody from Gang-jae's crew has restarted it. The van begins to crush. Pil-do is going to die in the next 30 seconds unless she does something impossible. She finds the machine's power cable. She tears it out with her bare hands. The crusher dies. Pil-do is alive. Hyejin collapses on the concrete next to him, bleeding from a wound that was supposed to slow her down 2 hours ago and instead made her unstoppable. Something shifts in Pil-do after that. The woman he's been ordered to expose as a traitor just tore a machine apart with her hands to keep him alive. He stops looking at her like a spy. He starts looking at her like a person. And he stops chasing Mu-jin. He starts chasing Gang-jae instead. Mu-jin makes a decision. He's been losing too much. The gym. Taeju's arm. Hyejin's cover almost. The factory raid. He sends Taeju to handle Cha Gi-ho directly, to remove the one cop who's been hunting Dongchan for years and force the investigation to start over from scratch. Taeju waits outside Cha Gi-ho's home. The captain comes back from a night of drinking with Pil-do, alone and tired. He doesn't see the man behind him until the blade is already in him. Hyejin arrives a few minutes later. She sees the blood on the doorknob and she runs inside. Cha Gi-ho is on the floor of his own home, conscious but barely. He sees somebody come through the door and he assumes it's the assassin coming back. He fires once, he misses. Hyejin disarms him. She presses her own dagger against his throat. She asks him about her father. She asks him about the photograph Gang-jae had sent her. A picture of her father standing next to Cha Gi-ho in a police uniform taken decades ago. Cha Gi-ho finally understands who she is. He tells her fast. Pil-do is on his way to the house. He can hear the sirens. He tells her her father wasn't a gangster. He was a cop, an undercover police officer who was embedded inside Dongchan for years. He was Cha Gi-ho's best friend. He was working with Cha Gi-ho the entire time. He died because Mu-jin found him out. He shoves a stack of envelopes into her hands. He tells her there was a lighter. Her father had given Mu-jin a lighter as a gift years before, and inside the lighter was a hidden tracker. Mu-jin found the tracker. He realized her father had been feeding information to the police for the better part of a decade. He killed him for it. Then he made sure his daughter became the most loyal weapon in Dongchan by lying to her about who pulled the trigger and pointing her at the only honest cop in the building. Hyejin escapes through the back door as Pil-do walks through the front. She drives. She doesn't know where. She reads her father's letters in the parked car by streetlight, and she finds out the man she spent 5 years loving was a cop who never stopped being a cop, and the man she spent 5 years serving is the man who put a bullet in him. She goes to find Mu-jin at his temple hideout. She asks him about the photograph. He looks at her the way a man looks at a daughter he's been raising for 5 years on a lie. And he tells her the truth, partially. He tells her her father was an undercover cop. He tells her Cha Gi-ho was the one who recruited him. He omits the part where he found the tracker. He omits the part where he pulled the trigger himself. He tells her he lied to her because he needed her angry. He needed her trained. He needed her to believe in something hard enough to become the kind of person who could carry it through. He says it like an apology. He says it like he's the one who's been wronged. She walks out. She doesn't tell him she already knows the rest. She lets him think she only knows half. She gets back in her car. She drives for 10 minutes. She pulls over to the side of the road, and then she brakes. She starts hitting herself in the face. Open palms, then closed fists. She screams the way people scream when they realize the person they've spent 5 years becoming was built on a foundation of nothing. She helped him. She protected him. When she stops, she's quiet. She sits in the driver's seat for a long time. The streetlight above her flickers once, then steadies. Then she drives home. She walks into her apartment. She bandages herself. She picks up her father's ashes. She picks up the dagger Mu-jin gave her to avenge her father with. She decides she's going to use it on him instead. She doesn't make it to the door before someone breaks in. It's Taeju. Mu-jin has figured out she knows. He sent his right-hand man to clean up his own creation before she can become a problem. Taeju is bigger. He's stronger, but he's healed enough to fight. He tells her, while he's choking her, what really happened. He tells her how Mu-jin discovered the tracker. He tells her how Mu-jin pulled the trigger himself. She kills him in her own apartment with her own hands. It's not clean, it's not stylish, It's the slow, awful work of one person ending another in a small room. When it's over, she sits next to Taeju's body for a long time and doesn't move. Meanwhile, Moojin turns himself into the police. He's been framed by evidence linking him to Gang Jae's murder, and he knows the only way to clear his name fast is to play the system from inside it. He sits in an interrogation room and looks at Hye-jin through the glass. She walks into the evidence room. She removes the dagger that links him to Gang Jae's death. She walks out with it. She lets him know the evidence is gone. Moojin walks free a few hours later. He goes back to his gym, finds Taeju's body, and finally understands what's coming for him. He underestimated her. He doesn't make that mistake twice. Pildu figures out what she's doing. He intercepts her on the street as she's preparing to disappear after Moojin alone. He tells her she can't do this by herself. She refuses. He doesn't argue. He just puts a handcuff on his own wrist and locks the other end around hers. They get ambushed by Moojin's men within minutes. They fight their way out together, still cuffed. They end up in a hotel room while Pildu bandages her wounds, and for the first time in 5 years, she's not alone in a room with her own grief. She doesn't know what to do with that. He doesn't ask her to do anything with it. He just stays. He tells her she could arrest Moojin instead. Put him in a cage. Let her father's name finally clear in a courtroom. Let the law do what the law was supposed to do for the last 5 years. She almost agrees. She almost lets herself imagine a version of this that ends without her becoming something she can't come back from. She falls asleep next to him for a few hours. Real sleep, the first she's had in years. Moojin's men find them in the morning. He kills Pildu in front of her. She watches it happen the same way she watched her father die, through a half-second of disbelief that her brain refuses to process. And then she breaks something inside herself permanently. She picks up Pildu's gun. She runs. She drives straight to Moojin's hotel. Every man he has is waiting for her. She doesn't stop. She fights her way through the lobby. She fights her way up the staircase. She empties Pildu's gun and picks up a knife she takes off a body. She keeps moving. She arrives at Moojin's suite covered in blood that isn't hers. He's waiting. He has his own knife. He looks at her one more time, the way he used to look at her in the gym, like a teacher proud of his student, like a father pleased with his daughter. She tells him she was going to surrender. She was going to do what Pildu asked. She was going to put him in a courtroom and let him rot there for the rest of his life. She isn't going to do that anymore. She tells him she's chosen to become the monster he made her into. The fight is brutal. He hurts her. She hurts him worse. She takes his own dagger and drives it into him once. He drops it. He picks up a pistol from a dead man on the floor and points it at her. He pulls the trigger. The magazine is empty. Hye-jin picks up the dagger. She drives it into his chest. She holds it there until his body goes still. And then she stands up in his hotel suite with his blood on her hands and a wound in her side that's slowly killing her. And the man who took 5 years of her life finally stops breathing. She walks out of the hotel. She doesn't go to a hospital. She doesn't go to the police. She goes somewhere only she knows, with her father's ashes and a name that nobody alive ever really wore. My Name asks a question most revenge stories don't have the courage to ask. If somebody steals your grief, weaponizes it, and trains you to be exactly what they need you to be, when the truth finally comes out, who do you become? Do you stop being the weapon? Or have you already gone too far back the other way to ever stop being one? Yoon Ji-woo died on her 17th birthday in a hallway outside her apartment. The girl in the hotel suite at the end isn't either of them. She's something the drama doesn't even give a name to. A third person, made from the wreckage of the first two. And maybe that's what My Name is really about. Not revenge, not betrayal. The cost of trying to be somebody else for long enough to do one specific thing and discovering that the person you used to be doesn't exist anymore by the time you're ready to come back. The names belong to the dead. The living don't always get to keep theirs. If My Name hit you the way it hit me, drop a comment with which scene broke you. The peephole, the factory, the handcuffs in the hotel room. On this channel, I recap the K-dramas that actually mean something. So subscribe and see you in the next one.